Hi, welcome to the HSMAI Arizona Introduction to Trello and how we use it. When you log on to Trello, you're going to sign in and you're going to come to your main board. I use Trello for lots of things, so I have several different boards on here. But you'll come down to, on your board, HSMAI AZ, that's the name of the main grouping, and you'll see we have three different boards. The main focus is going to be here on the events board, and I'm going to walk you through how we use it and how it can be of benefit to you. So on this board, it's just made up of a series of cards. Think of them almost as sticky notes. And within these cards, you can place all sorts of valuable information. Each list is the column here is called a list. I have designated for the different events on this board. This is our events board. So for example, the May 10th meeting is here, the June meeting, Chinese auction, every single event all the way down. I just created a list for. Then within that list, I created a couple of channels. So for example, I haven't fleshed out this channel yet, the Santa Summer Safety Splash, but I'll give you an idea of how it goes. Actually, sorry, I'm going to start with this one, the golf tournament. So the first thing I'm going to do is add an email card to this. And then same thing, I'm going to add a LinkedIn card and a Twitter card, Facebook card, and an Insta card. All right, within each of these cards, I have created these checklists. And so I'm going to import the event email checklist. And what that is, it's just a listing of all of the different things that we need to do in order to promote this event. So I do this initially just to get everything set up. So the same thing under the Twitter card, I also have a Twitter checklist that I've created. And it's just sort of standard stuff that we would do on Twitter around this different event. So I would do the same thing for Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta, for every event and so on. Now, when within the communications group, we'll assign each one of these events to one of us, so either to Andrea, Cheryl, or myself, and whoever owns it is then responsible for going into the actual card. So for example, if I'm responsible for the email for the Chinese auction, I'm going to go into this card, and the first thing I'm going to do is convert all of these individual checklist steps into a card of their own. And you do this by clicking on that, convert to card, click on that, convert to card. As you're going through it, you might make changes and decide, gosh, I don't really need to do this one. Maybe I need to do something else on this one, or you can just keep it the same. So I'm not going to go through all of them here, but when you convert it to a card, you'll see it brings it down here and converts it into a card. Then you're going to come into this card and you're going to do a couple things to it. First, you're going to give it a label. So this label is for emails. And then you're going to assign a member to it. So I'm going to be responsible for this one, so I'm going to take it. At this point, you don't really need to do anything else, except for the ever important due date. So the save the date email, I've actually already sent this out, but for our purposes, I typically am going to set this to be a month before the actual event. So on June the 13th is when I'm going to put the due date, and so I just hit save. If there's any information about this that I want to make sure that I remember when I'm sending out this email, I can just add it in this comment here. And that's really all that you're going to do. The beauty of this is you can then look at the calendar and you can see by color how frequently we're communicating, how often we're promoting a certain event, when we're doing what. And it's important, I think, because it helps us to not overwhelm our audience. So for example, this is the label for email. This is the line has gone through it because I've already sent out the first update. Today it was due April 30th, went out at 8 o'clock this morning. This is for Twitter, and so I'm getting ready to do a Twitter announcement in a little bit. And once that's finished, I'll click the completed, and it too will have a line through it, so we can actually also see what we've done. Um, what else about this calendar? It just can give you an idea of when things are due. On the events detail, this is where I have all of the detail. The due date is the actual date of the event, and this is where I keep all of the information that we're all going to need to reference. Twitter, LinkedIn, anything that we want, we're going to put here. I want to go back to, I'm going to close the calendar. I'm going to go back to the board. The other sort of cool thing about this is, for example, on Twitter. I think this is the Twitter, yeah. So I have for Twitter, instead of just constantly sending out promotional stuff, I want to send out some interesting facts for each event that we have coming up. And for this particular event, the person who is leading it, I think her name is Rochelle McCreary. She has a website, Tal Leadership Development, and she actually has a podcast on that website. And so this is a podcast that I'm going to tweet out that's promoting her, but then I'll tie in the fact that she's going to be our speaker. So instead of just promoting it, we're actually providing some education and also some promotion for our speaker, which is always a good thing. What happens when you're the owner of these various cards is you get notified in your own email calendar that says, hey, this is coming due. And so it's a great way for all of us to keep on top of everything that we have going on. So we have cards for every single event, or lists for every single event. And then we'll also have for the membership contest, because I want that to go on this calendar. That's pretty much it for the events board. The other board that we have is the communications. This is for our internal group, and this is really kind of everything else that we're doing. And it's a way to keep the internal team up to date. So we've done these buyer personas for our various customers, and they help us frame up our Facebook posts and that sort of thing. We have board meeting dates on here, team communication. This is where we keep all of our notes, links to the Google Docs. It's just a centralized place where we can all come to and find out what it is that we're doing. As I get information from the different board members, this is where I'll post it. Community outreach. This is everything from our national. I just got a list from Julie of everything that's going on with HSMAI internationally. And you can see student promotions, committee report, website. All of the things that we're talking about doing for the update we'll have here. On Facebook, this is a checklist. Cheryl handles Facebook, and this is a checklist throughout the month of the various Facebook posts that we want to make sure that we do, so that we're not just constantly only promoting events. Of course, that's important. We're doing that as well. But we'll talk about some Arizona news. We'll do a member spotlight post. If there's chapter awards nominations, we'll do a reminder. We started the Throwback Thursday photo post you may have seen. We'll talk about the job board at least once a month. And so each of the social outlets will have a similar checklist, but obviously with just different things on it. Here we have our newsletter column, and the same thing. We have a checklist of all the things that need to go in our newsletter, so we're collecting it throughout the 3 months. And we can just put the information here so that when it comes time to put it all together, everything we need is in one place. And that is really it. From the board standpoint, I've created a board of directors board. And what I have here is, if you have information about your events that you want to communicate to the communications group, you can just come in here, add a card, put whatever you want. You can link, you can put a link in there, you can put attachments in there, really anything that you want. The other thing that you can do is send an email. So there is an email address that I'll share with everybody, and it's here. I'll send it out to you. And if you have something that you want to make sure gets communicated to us, all you have to do is email, and it shows up here. I did this test email earlier, and it shows up here. We'll check this every week. And so we'll then take it from here and move it over to the correct board where it needs to be executed. If you come upon any social media stuff that you want us to share, if you have old photos, you could just come here, add it on that board. If you have promotional ideas, if you think that we should do something around something different around one of the events that we have planned, or something with our partner Sniff, you could come in here and add a card and make a suggestion there. It's just an easy way for you to communicate to us, and we'll all see it because you don't just want me to see it, you want also Cheryl and Andrea also to see it. And I think that's it. Thanks for your time.